Oh, hello, Meet Tina here. How's everyone's doing today? Well, we got Laurie Johnson's back today to share a fascinating, it's a story about how importance of the energy this month in April, especially moving into May as well. So she's gonna be sharing how important it is that everybody should be aware of. However, before I let her speak, I would like to share she's an author of the book, and here you go, up on Amazon.com, guys. Go and pick up this book that she wrote. Laurie, what year did you write this book? I got that before, but I kept forgetting.
I don't remember,
Yes,
honestly.
it's been a long time.
Yeah, it's at least 5-10 years, maybe.
Great book. I know 10 years. Great book. Into the Aquarian Age. Okay.
Well,
So
it was probably around 2012 because that was the transition. That was the
that's
big
right.
deal. Yeah.
The 2012, that was when awakening time. So you
Yes.
wrote that book. You guys go and grab her book. Kindle is amazing and support her. She's a teacher and author, and she consults business clients. She does tarot reading and all kind of stuff. Last video she did, boy, a lot of my friends said, Tina, are you doing this? Are you doing this? That 40, I'm doing
40
it.
days.
Actually, I started New Moon last Friday, Laurie. I wrote it down on my notepad on my iPhone. And every morning, I usually grab my phone. That's what most people do, right? There you go. I read the whole thing morning and night. And I got 5 of my friends are doing it. And yesterday, my client actually doing it. So with that said, Laurie, shall we start?
Yes, it would be great.
Take it from me.
Okay. Even though we've talked about before what's going on in April, excuse me for my weird hand gestures. I've got a cat here and she needs to be loved. She's not having a good time today. She's had a flea attack and she's allergic, so it's bad. Poor baby.
Okay.
But we're still in April and it seems like it's going to be the longest month of the year. It will feel like that because I think we're on the 8th or 9th or something like that. And it's like, can we be done with it yet? And we're really only a full week into it. So a lot of the clients, well, I would say all of the clients that I've had are calling because there's something going on with somebody in their life or with a work situation or something that is facing them. And especially, in relationships, it's like, I'm in a relationship for 6 months and he's acting weird. And I'm going, it's April. And that explains everything. But then we get into details. It's like, well, why did he do this? And why did he do that? Without realizing that what we're perceiving is how somebody else is shifting, how somebody else is being affected by this push energy. And yet, as if we're not, when it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be affected in a negative way, but it does make us more sensitive. Yep. And when we're more sensitive, especially people who have done a lot of work on themselves, we're already more sensitive because we're in the Aquarian age. And then this time is more sensitive because what it is that you need to face about your entire life, about whatever karma you brought in, is right here. And you can't get away from it. And we've talked about that before. But then the first thing that happens, most with women, but it happens with everybody, it's just women are more sensitive to this, is that there's self-judgment. Okay, it's like, all right, he's having a hard time. What did I do wrong? Is this about me? He doesn't like me. And it's like, no, the self-judgment is coming up because, big thing on this, especially for women, in the 2000 years since the Piscean age, and that's been done, women's role over 2000 years, every time you reincarnated as a woman in 2000 years, your job was to take care of a man, to have your identity determined by the man. You couldn't have a life without a man, and it wasn't usually really good unless you had a lot of money that you got from a man. And then we as women usually would say, okay, something's wrong. I have to take responsibility for it to keep the peace. Or we were taught that we're responsible for everything that goes wrong. This is what we have to deal with. So what we're doing right now in this time of bringing karma right into our faces, it's bringing up that, in that we need to face that we haven't done anything wrong. And the first thought we're going to get, especially as women, but I'm going to say everybody gets it, but especially women, because we've been trained in that, is that if something's going on with somebody else, with the job, and I've had 4 calls this week about, oh, my boss is this, or the job is this, do I get to keep this job? And it's like, you're fine. You're brilliant at what you do. Why are you questioning it? Oh, it's April. Okay. So one of the things to be aware of is, and I could say the first thing that we should pay attention to when we feel weird is to stop the self-judgment. because 99% of the time, there's no reason for you to judge yourself at all.
I agree.
And yet we get into that because it's a default position that we've been programmed to believe for 2000 years. And men take responsibility because they have been in responsibility for 2000 years, whether they're good at it or not. So what this energy is doing is helping us kind of like find our baseline, who we are without the stuff that we've adopted and adapted because we had to. And usually we're taught by people who are not that enlightened. I'm not saying that there aren't people who are really enlightened as parents, but my parents didn't know what I was talking about when I talk about any of this stuff. And it's like, pat me
Well,
on the head. It's like, isn't that sweet? You know?
yeah, I think it's a different generation. Even my own parents too. The elder generation, they would not understand all this
Yeah. And so
awakening stuff.
if they
Yeah.
don't understand it, and you're a sensitive individual or a more psychic individual than your parents, which pretty much everybody is, and then the kids that are coming in are more psychic than their parents, that sorry, cat hair, that you get the you miss the fact that what you've been taught from that generation, from any generation that is before, is usually not in tune. And I don't mean not in tune like, you know, rock and roll changed everything for the kids in the 50s or free love in the 60s. I'm saying not in tune with energy, not in tune with growth, and not in tune with being able to be yourself, because we're still dictated by what society thinks you should do. You know, you should go to this school, you should get married at a certain time. There are a lot of shoulds that are going on that are being broken right now, and we're shifting out of that. But the first thing is what we were taught that we think is normal for another age, and it no longer applies. But we judge ourselves by that. You know,
I begin to see a lot of change in shifting with that, Laura, especially with the lockdown. A lot of
yeah.
parents are changing kids to different school or homeschool. Yeah, definitely.
And yet when this stuff is facing us right now, it is that old age 2000-year programming is that women must be at fault, or I'm at fault, even if you're a man or a woman, but I'm at fault for what's going on. And the point isn't to see why you're at fault, but why do you feel you're at fault? Because the person is not blaming you unless
So
you're putting out energy to get blamed. Go ahead, sorry.
So definitely, we need to become aware of our own judgment or the feeling during this time, because it can
Yeah.
be ultra sensitive, that trigger our emotion and cause a lot of, especially relationship, argument, disappointment, or misunderstanding, mainly a lot of misunderstanding, because
Yeah,
we assume and we judge a lot.
we do.
So, so I think it's kind of good that you bring this up, Laurie, because I also have noticed a lot of people. I have some client yesterday that's really, really sensitive, and I realized, and because a lot of astrology also mentioned about how heavy this month is for a lot of people as well. Yes.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, straight across the board, everybody's just saying the same thing. Everybody's just picking up, and those who are not aware, like yourself, me, will definitely take it in the wrong direction and makes it worse.
Yeah.
Irrational decision and all that stuff. Yeah. Wow. This is yeah, it's good that you come here to remind us about all this stuff, Laurie.
Well, April's not over, and so the energy
3
is
more
not going
weeks
to
to go. Yeah.
yeah, and it's going to get, I'm sorry to say, stronger before we're done with it, because even though we started this like with a bang, with Putin invading and that kind of energy pushing that, it hasn't been that bad in March, but it's kind of like revving up to the end. And as it revs up to the end, it's like, did you do it? Did you do it? Did you face yourself? Here, you didn't face it. Here's some more. Let me get closer. Let me shove it right in your face. That's the kind of stuff that we've been dealing with. And it is going to get stronger. And in many cases, we can do all the work that we need to do and get it all right. And if the energy hasn't released yet, then we're going, okay, I did everything right. Why is it still here? Why do I still feel oppressed? Because right now people are feeling defeated, and they're feeling oppressed, and they're feeling self-judgmental. So
Wow.
first off, if you can, take away the judging self, because that complicates everything, and it makes everything so much stronger and worse if you feel that you're wrong, as opposed to being able to see that everybody is feeling that they're wrong, not because they're wrong, but because they need to face that within themselves and see
Right.
why they would do that. My mother was a very selfish person, and so there was a lot of competition going on between the two of us that I didn't know about until I got to be
Wow.
older. But that meant that one of the reasons that I talk really fast, and I can, is because when I was a kid, if I didn't get stuff out in 30 seconds, she'd interrupt me and start talking about what she wanted to talk about. So it literally was, I got very good at talking fast because it's like, this is what I want to say in 30 seconds to get it out. Whether it made a difference to her or not, it was important to be able to say what you want.
But you know what, Laurie, this is fascinating. What has been traumatic in your childhood, this become one of your strengths.
Yeah, I'm grateful for it. So
You're
this,
great. You're great in speaking. I commend you for that. Amazing. You can just, ever since I knew you a long time ago when you taught classes, you're very good.
oh,
So
thank you.
from the childhood, the bad turned out to be one of your best skills too.
Yeah. But then I
Yeah.
judge myself when I'm doing a reading and going, am I talking too fast? Are they hearing me? Are they seeing what I'm seeing? It's like, how can I get this across? It's like, shut up and just be in the moment. And it's not that easy because I know this stuff is going on, and yet I get caught up in it too. And pretty
I
much
think we all
everybody that,
do.
yeah, and everybody that I talked to this week is very much noticing how everybody else is being affected, but really seriously, again, not noticing how this is affecting them. And it can be affecting them, just making them more sensitive to feeling that somebody's not listening, or somebody's not paying attention, or somebody's not being affectionate, or the job sucks, or whatever. Because it's just all heightened right now, but it's there for a purpose. Because in order to take advantage and like really soar when we get into May, when we get into the Jupiter and Aries energy, which is going to last until the end of October, that's a really uplifting energy. And it's kind of more the energy of the year, because we are moving forward. We are moving forward in Aquarian freedom, in humanity. And yet, if you look at what the news is saying, it's like, where's the humanity? There's humanity in taking care of the refugees. There's humanity in all of us against Putin, like the world against Putin. That's a
Peace.
humanity thing. But then we still have this crazy crap going on in Florida and other states that are going to adopt the don't say gay crap, and the abortion crap, and the immigration crap, and all this. The people who are just so stuck in their own fear that they have to make sure they put a finger on everybody else's head and hold them down. And this is a year of freedom. So they're also feeling, I got to do this because I've got a limited time, and I've got to do it before the door closes. And then I can be happy because I'll be in charge. They won't be in charge, but that energy is still going on. So we've got to be able to face it within ourselves about where we're coming from, what is good for us, what we learned from a mother or a father or an uncle or a crazy friend when we were kids. That isn't who we are.
Yeah.
That's what this is for. And that's not easy because you're facing pretty much lessons that you learned your entire life.
But once we get out of that, it's liberating.
It is liberating.
That's the freedom you're talking about.
Yeah. And it's a
free
freedom
ourselves.
for the individual, but it's a freedom for, again, community, for the general world.
Right. Well,
And
everything dominoes into.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But it starts with us, because everything these days is like grassroots. Everything always has been. Society is changing, which is where we also get diametrically opposes. I don't want society to change because I'm in charge of society, to everything is changing. You don't have a choice.
Right.
And
right.
people don't like that they don't have a choice. So they're screaming. But that's the point. Aquarian age energy doesn't slow down because people don't like it.
It's going so fast.
It is going so fast.
I can imagine the lockdown time for 2 years. I mean, I was in bed most of the time because of my illness, but it went so fast.
Yeah.
I just said, where did the time go? And you're right about that. It's speeding up quite rapidly.
It is. And I want to talk about that for a second, if I could.
Yes,
because we talk about astrology, and if you know anything about astrology and your chart, most people do know their chart, or their sign and stuff. It's based on the vibration of the planets in our solar system, their position with other planets, and how that energy affects us, how it rules us, not rules, but gives us guidelines and gives us opportunities and shifts energy so we can adapt to it. Okay, that's incredibly influential. But there's another thing that's going on right now that is equally influential, and that is the journey of the Earth herself. Because astrology doesn't look at what the Earth is doing, it looks at what the Earth is being affected by in our solar system. But the Earth in December 21st, 2012 had a birthday, a 26,000 year long birthday in our time. And this was her lifting up. This was her going to a whole new level of existence. And it's all in that Aquarian age energy, in that very spiritual stuff. And I've talked about the Mayan calendar and all that, and the freak out over the end of the world on December 21st, 2012, because the Mayan calendar stopped, because what we're doing now, how we're thinking, is so different than how they could perceive it. They couldn't write anymore. And this wasn't about them needing to give us guidelines to go by like astrology does. This is guidelines because the earth is taking over more. In history, we've always been where humankind makes a jump forward, like in the Renaissance age. We made a jump forward. A lot of that influenced by other planets that gave us opportunities to take advantage of the positive energy. And when we did that, we lifted our vibe. All the music, all the art that came out of that lifted the vibe of humankind.
You know, you mentioned about the Mayan calendar and how it just stopped.
Yeah.
You know, let me ask you, why was it stopped? What was the purpose and the reason for that? Because, you know, if for a while we all thought it's going to be the end of the world because there's no continuation.
It
but
was
it's this old world, the old world energetically.
Yes,
right?
It's an energetic thing.
Yeah.
Because they were talking about, you know, what's going on. And they, I mean, their calendar was so complicated. It was like 28 different calendars in one. And it dealt with a growing season. It dealt with the cycle of Venus, and it dealt with our year and our moon. I mean, it was all very natural. But when it couldn't, it literally is like, that was like a Piscean age mindset. Okay, it wasn't all Piscean age because it was much longer than 2000 years. But
Right.
within that mindset, it was all very logical, very lines and squares stuff. And not saying they didn't have the balance of the right and left hemispheres, but that was it. But this is where we are right now, Aquarian age, not necessarily the age, but the next 26,000 years that we've already started, is not in the same mindset. It's kind of like, I've been writing in English, and now we're going to be writing in Sanskrit, and they don't know Sanskrit. So they can't go any further, because this is also, we've given you the guide that gets you here. Humankind graduates, and teachers don't follow through after somebody graduates. So it finished.
Wow, wow. And I guess maybe there's a possibility of how we can create our life, you know?
Yeah. Well, yes and no. Yes, in that creating our life, but this is also what I was talking about before, in that how astrology goes, but then in how we're affected by the earth, and we lift up when we do something. But then there are times, really significant times, when the earth lifts her vibe, like she did in December 21st, 2012. And we have to match that. And that is our lesson. That is our direction to follow. And we aren't consciously aware of that, because we haven't been taught to think energetically. That's just not been on the board. Very specifically, it's like everything for the last 2000 years has been, put your hand on it. If it isn't three-dimensional, it doesn't exist. You know, you can't prove Carillion photography because that doesn't exist. It's about energy. That's stupid. You know, psychics are stupid. Anybody who does energetic healing, that's stupid. That doesn't exist. Not even that it's stupid. It just isn't real.
Exactly. You know, it's interesting, Laura, when you said that, because I was just talking to my clients about how we have been taught a lot of things when we're young, a lot of stuff that we never used. And it's useless for all the money that we spend in education. I mean, why didn't they teach how to, you know, work with your finance, how to deal with your tax, or how to, you know, be a handy person, fix your own home or whatever? It's a skill set that we never been taught since young. But we've been taught all this stuff that, what for? The same thing as the energy.
Yeah, because people, it made sense to another generation. It made sense to the mindset in that time.
Yeah.
And yet we are required to be more adaptable and faster at adapting now than we've ever been. The earth, when she made her shift, didn't slow down. It's kind of like when a baby is born, they don't slow down in their growth. So this was a birthday for her, and a freedom for her. And then I've talked about this before, in August of 2017, when we had the eclipse that went over the entire United States, when the sun came out from behind the moon, the earth said, all right, I gave you all this opportunity to help you to get used to helping me, to be in a reciprocal symbiotic relationship, and you can't do it. So hands off, I'm not going to deal with you anymore. I've got my own journey. You still have to match my vibe, but I'm not going to
Mhm.
sit there and hold your hand anymore. And that's when we started getting natural disasters, because that's how she releases things for herself. Volcanic reactions or hurricanes, these are all caused not just by us and the damage that we've done, but by her holding back and hoping that we get the memo so we can be in harmony with her. And some
Mhm.
people are, but not enough yet, not enough big business, not enough big important things important in our society that are in harmony with her. So we're being forced to do that. But the journey now is like, yes, pay attention to astrology, pay attention to what in your chart it's telling you. If you get a good astrologer, you know, for you to be able to read your chart and have somebody to lead that, but also pay attention to what the earth is saying, because she is the main director. The astrology is fine tuning, but our main journey is on the vibration of the earth, and she is shifting. And honestly, we all have to be on the same vibe. We have to match her vibe, otherwise we don't belong here, and then we get crazy or we get out of balance or we get ill because we're
Right.
not in vibe. Yeah.
So you said that when a person get astrology done, the chart, have them look at how it's correlate with the earth energy. Is that what it is, Laura?
Yeah, you got to take that into consideration. Unfortunately, most astrologers have not been taught about that, because it's the art itself is how the planets are affecting us, not how we're
Ah,
affecting
yes.
anybody else.
Hmm.
So it's like right now, how the earth is shifting and demanding us change, demanding us grow up with her, is the main energy. And this doesn't happen very often, that we get
Oh,
this, that we have to follow and we have to do it this intensely. But that's where we are right now. And so when we talk about being able to kind of like make our own destiny or whatever, it's like, yeah, the destiny is, this is what I want to do. And I'm going to get there by trusting that the earth, or the energies that take care of me, that are dealing with the earth, that they're helping me get there in ways that I don't know. So the thing is, again, and what the COVID for 2 years was teaching us, trust, let go, let God, or goddess, or creator, or whatever works, is being able to trust
yep.
that these things are happening for a reason. Everything that's going on is happening for a reason. And it's basically a reason to give us clarity. But we
Oh
don't
my
like
God,
getting clarity by
totally.
being smacked in the face, you know?
Yes, yes, totally. Wow, you just say a magical word, Laurie, about how the past 2 years of COVID has been like, give us more clarity.
Yeah.
You know, what do we want to do in our life? There's a lot of people are questioning themselves now.
Yeah.
You know, they question their work, they question uh, their relationship. There's a lot of people who's doing that, you
Yeah.
know, and even push a lot of people to reflect about even about themselves, more mainly about themselves.
Yeah.
I saw that a lot, but even myself, you
Yeah.
know, and I thought I was like really work on myself quite a bit, you know, I'm fine. I was happy before COVID and bam, you know, I was like, oh, okay. You know, sometimes we thought that we're balanced, but it's not
Yeah.
really. There's still fine tuning that we need to do to
Yeah.
match the energy of the collective of the earth, you said.
Yeah.
Totally
And we've
agree.
got those heavy lessons coming in the next 3 years. And then it's like those lessons kick off like a ball rolling downhill. So we've got like a 20-year journey starting next week, or I'm sorry, next year, that is changing society, changing corporations, changing how we look at everything. But the next couple of years, we're going to get one hit after another. It's kind of like, this is what you need to change, bam, and then let it come into play. It's like when you as in when you have a revelation, you can't
Oh,
stay in that energy of the revelation. It's too rarefied, but it
so
gives you that hit. Hold on. It gives you that hit, and then you have to assimilate it into your body. So we've got 3 years of bam, 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 bam. And then the rest of those 20 years are going to be, now let's put this into practice.
so you're talking about year 23, 24, 25.
Yes.
It's gonna be, are you talking about it's gonna be heavy for a lot of people?
Well, it's going to be heavy for a lot of people that are trying to be stuck, that are choosing to be stuck. It's like, you can't tell me what to do. Don't tell me I'm not in charge. Don't tell me I'm the most important person on a planet. You're not. Don't tell
Right.
me that and I'm going to punish you. They're going to lose their power. They're losing their power already. But I'm saying that these stuck people are going to have a really hard time, because
Mm.
nothing is going to work out for them. And they're still going to be screaming while they're falling down, screaming
Wow.
how unfair it is. It should be different. Should was it's the worst word in the English language, but should was the word that hit every single reading this week. Because,
Wow.
well, he should understand what I'm talking about. it's kind of like, well, he can't hear anything, so he shouldn't understand. Take should out of it, because that's your judgment on what he should be doing, as opposed to accepting what is. That's the biggest thing. Stop the self-judgment and accept what is in front of you. You know, Eckhart Tolle, the power of now. That stuff is really helpful right now,
Love
because
him.
we're not in
Mhm.
control of anything. We thought
Wow.
we have been, and the earth let us think that. And it was kind of like, all right, I'm giving you the opportunity to then be in charge of everything and to see how you do with it. And because you haven't done it well enough, and I'm not saying we haven't made progress, we have, but we still have a large part of the population that's very, very, very stuck. So it's kind of like, all right, I'm taking over now, she says,
Wow.
because we need the
Amazing.
direction,
Mhm.
but we're still fighting the direction. And some people are like really in tune with it, because it's, you know, we just got that grab bag of people are on so many different levels right now. And the ones that are young souls that are really stuck are screaming the loudest. So it seems like they're more, and they're not.
Wow. So you mentioned that May also significant, correct?
Yeah.
Following what's going to happen in May, Laurie?
Okay. The last week leading into the last week in April, that's going to be the really heavy time. So watch very specifically how we react to others, because if everybody's having a hard time and you don't know what level of karma they're dealing with, you can be very judgmental about, well, they don't understand what I'm saying. It's like they can't understand. All they can do is see what's going on in their life right now. And that's what you're doing, because you're seeing how they're not behaving toward you the way you want. So get out of that energy, but know that there's going to be like a 5-day cycle, and it's not the very, very end, but it's like coming up like from the 20th until maybe the 25th, 26th,
Mm,
around that time, where it's really intense. So from that time, it won't stop, but it lessens after that. It's kind of like, you know, here's the big ball, it's going to hit you in the face. And then after that, between then and May 5th, it's like being stunned. Okay,
wow.
because we do this with every retrograde, especially with the Mercury retrogrades. Retrograde feels like we've got this pressure on us, this pressure on us, this pressure on us. And when it lets go, and it gets harder before it gets done, but when it lets go, we go, oh, I'm stupid now, because we can't think clearly yet. Like we're
Right,
still
right.
adjusting to this new normal, because every retrograde changes something. So when we get through the beginning of May up until the 10th, be aware we're going to feel a little stunned and a little disconnected,
Mm,
not so much negative. It's how you choose to deal with that energy.
mm,
Because if you don't like feeling disconnected and it's got to be somebody's fault, this is not going to go smoothly. If you kind of go with the flow on this and know that sometimes you just feel disconnected, that's the energy. You don't have to be on point every single freaking day.
right.
So know that. And then when we get into, and we'll feel this a little bit ahead of time, the May 10th energy, Mercury retrograde, second one of the year, it's going to be there, and we're going to feel it more. But also the biggest thing is that
Mm,
Jupiter is moving into Aries. So Jupiter, the planet of beneficence and good luck and success, specifically in the artistic world, in the entertainment world, this is going to be in Aries, which I know we've talked about before, but it's always good to remember there's something good coming, that this is going to be in Aries until the end of October. And it is about that uplifting energy. It's about the freedom, the humanitarianism. It's about being able to accomplish things that you couldn't do before. But it doesn't
wow.
necessarily mean you have to accomplish things like in the physical world about being able to get more money, because we're trying to get out of that physical stuff and get into, if you are totally in harmony with your own vibe, everything falls into place for you. You don't have to make it happen. But we are not trusting that you can do that and still not have to push, because
Right.
that's what we've been taught for 2,000 years.
It's what brings us joy to do. It's funny what you just said, Laurie, because just a couple of days ago, a friend of mine talks about how I think she was listening to some old videos on Wayne Dyer.
Okay.
Yeah. And he mentioned about how manifestation, how it was taught where, you know, it taught how people should focus on what they want, but that's a wrong way to do it. It just, we manifest everything coming from a reflection of who we are.
Yeah.
So like what you said earlier, just do what you enjoy, and it's coming from our own energy, totally.
Yeah. It's fine to want something. It's fine to have goals, although I really dislike the word want. Whenever you're doing spell work or any kind of meditative work, if you say want, need, wish, desire, basically the energy that you're putting out is lack. I don't have this, I want it. And
Mhm.
again, what you said, what you put out is what you get back. So you put out the want desire, it's like, I'm proving that I don't have something, so what you're going to get back is nothing.
Exactly.
So it's like, I am, I do, I'm right here in this moment. And it's like letting go of the expectation. But the thing is, you can have goals. It's just we've been thinking about accomplishing them through 2,000 years of programming, that you do them by step by step by step and push and get things out of the way. And it's my strength and it's my arrogance and I get to do what I want. And the point is, you can have a goal, but trust that there's energy that you don't consciously know about that is going to help you get there. You don't have to plow through it with a freaking sledgehammer.
Right. Well, I think what it is, when we put so much energy, it's become too tight.
Yeah.
You know, too attached.
Yes.
So it's either if you're too attached, it's too strong. It's friction. But if it's too loose or detached, you're not grabbing anything. So I just see it as in balance. Just let it go and go
And
with the
that's the
flow.
thing. The balance of things is being able to have a goal and put it forward, but not like push it every single day. It's like you put it forward, you're not trusting that you just created a reality that might not have hit you yet.
Mm-hmm.
And that you put it forward, you've got all this angelic energy that's helping you trying to accomplish that. And we don't trust that either. Because we've been taught, if you don't push, the bigger, harder, stronger, faster mentality, if you don't do that, then you're not going to be successful. And it's gotten to be a ceiling. We can't go any further with that because it's based on fear.
And a lot of people are just kind of like drained by just pushing way too much. We get so drained. And I totally get what you're talking about, because I was brought up in that kind of culture too. And I saw a lot of people in my life are doing the same thing. I mean, aren't we all doing the same thing? Just go like a hamster.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's the thing. It's a catch-22. You can't get any further along.
Right.
But we don't see that because we're taught that we can if we push even harder. And that costs us. It costs us in health. It costs us in relationships. It even costs us in wealth, because we're so concerned about doing something that we kind of miss. Again, let's smell the flowers. We don't smell the flowers. We don't take advantage of what we've got in our lives. We're not grateful. So yeah, it's hard when this energy is on us right now to one, stop the self-judgment. But then the other thing is also be grateful for what you have. Because most people are seeing what's not in front of them as opposed to what is. It's the basics, if you're having a hard time, get down to basics. What are you grateful for? What do you have in your life? And if you take a moment to do that, you'll realize, if you're not judging yourself, that you're doing pretty well.
Beautifully said. Simplicity. Beautiful. So Laurie, what advice would you give? Just quick final words, for this month going on to May. Of course, I want you back to talk about the next 3 years, because that's fascinating to me. I'm sure people are gonna have that question too, like, okay, what's gonna happen? So what is your advice for?
The advice is,
I know you talk about that, but final words.
Yeah, but it's literally, one, know that pretty much everything that is going to upset us is because it's April. And April has an end point. Because when we get into an energy, sometimes we cannot see where it's going to end because we never saw how it was going to start. And that makes us feel insecure. It's like, well, I didn't know this was coming and it's here and I don't know how to handle it. Oh my God, it's going to be for the rest of my life. No, it's going to be to the end of April.
That's it.
Yeah.
So just remember Laurie's advice, guys, when you're going through like tough time right now, because it's April.
It's April. That's the simplest explanation here, because I can tell you all the reasons and this energy and that energy, but basically it comes down to, this is a challenge month. And whatever is in front of you that is a challenge, if you step back and stop judging yourself, you can see it clearer. Because it's, again, if you've had programming from when you were a kid, you're not going to see it clearly because you've been programmed not to see it clearly. You've been programmed to obey or to accept.
Exactly. And May will get better, correct?
May gets better. The rest of the year gets better. I'm not saying we're still not going to have challenges, because we're not out of the challenge time of the growth of humankind challenge. And that's another thing here. One last thing is that, and I've mentioned this before, but it's really important to know that everybody on the planet right now is contributing some energy to the growth of humankind.
So
it's kind of like there's this big, it's like this big arc of growth of humankind. And we can feel incredibly tired right now, especially healers or people who are on a higher level of understanding things, because they're contributing more, which means that they don't have the same energy to get through the day, to help other people, to talk with other people, to do what they need to do, because part of their energy that on a subconscious level, they are adding to, let's make everybody grow up. Let's have everybody get some enlightenment here. And even the least enlightened person is here contributing, even if they don't know it. So
Exactly.
it's very tiring right now. I don't know how long that'll go. That'll probably go the rest of this year, but the push of it is right now. So I
Wow.
don't think we're going to be as depleted going into May.
Well,
But
you
we
know,
are depleted right now.
what I just say, guys, if you get depleted, go into nature, you know, just relax, turn off, right, Lori?
Yeah.
Just turn off for a while, spend your quiet time, just do things that you enjoy to
It's a
charge your
fact.
own batteries. We need that. We all need
Yeah.
that, you know? So, wow, this is fascinating. You know, Lori, I just, forgot to mention that we're gonna actually erase this part off because my brain
Okay.
just went blank. This never happened before. However, before we part, I just wanted to remind everyone to, go to Lori if you have any questions in life. She does business counseling. She give you, a great, truthful advice. No sugarcoating. All right. And go to her for a tarot reading. She's excellent. I have, got my reading done by her before several times. I took classes from her too, and she's fascinating. And anything else that's final word that you would like to give it to everyone here who listening? I know next time I'm going to get you to talk about the next 3 years, Laurie, because I'm curious.
Yeah, we are in incredibly difficult times, but it's all energetic, so we can't recognize it. If we could relate to how difficult or how challenging the energy is, it would be like all the volcanoes on the planet are exploding at the same time. And then we could physically know, run away from the lava, or let's do protecting ourselves, or whatever. We would know what to do, but we don't know what to do because we haven't been energetically trained. So this is a matter of the energy is that strong, and that is what's getting us to grow up and to raise our vibe. So be aware of that. Be aware of your feeling. Everybody is psychic. Even the least psychic person on the planet is psychic, and that's only growing. So pay attention to gut instinct. Gut instinct is right 100% of the time.
Love that. I totally believe that. Just trust your gut, guys. So before we end, don't forget, guys, go to Amazon.com, click her book, buy it, because it's really good. I'm going to put Laura information underneath the description. Just give her a call, contact her if you have any kind of issue that you need consultation and help. She can greatly help you. All right, guys. Laurie, thank you so much today for today's advice. Because, I know a lot of people are going through a lot of stuff this month.
Yeah,
you're right
it's a
about that.
blessing.
And this is going to be such a comfort for them to know that this is just energy. And wait until April's over. You guys just stay cool, relax. Until then, we'll see you again next time, Laurie. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
You too.